Bear down, Chicago Bears. We've got a signing, free agent signing, free safety. Kevin Byard is now, or should be in 2 days, a Chicago Bear. That solves a big problem. That problem was free safety. Not only did he sign, and remember, Eddie Jackson was being paid $18.4 million to not do a very good job at that position. And by the way, when I say that, I shouldn't that feels disrespectful to me to say that about Eddie Jackson for all of the time and all the effort that he put in, but he was underperforming for the $18 million he was being paid. Kevin Byard comes in and he's being paid 7.5 million per year. He signed a 2-year 15 or is signing a 2-year $15 million contract. That is a big deal. Not only that, but we've also got information that the Bears are now willing to put up $2 billion in order to build this new stadium. So shout out to the Bears. That's a lot of capital right now that they're throwing out there in order to make this deal. And it's going to be a public stadium, which is that's an enormous deal. And that's an enormous win for the not just the city, but even the Bears franchise and the fans. I think this is actually a pretty good opportunity here. And let's get into it. Let's break it down right after the jump, guys. Bear down. Here we go.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways. Pass the bottle back my way. Everybody's getting sideways.
All right, guys. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack right now. Today is the first day of tampering, which is known as the 2-day window for you to talk to free agents and try to figure out what it is that's going on before the start of free agency, which is set for Wednesday, March the 13th. So the question now is, what do we do next? And let me get into chat real quick and let's talk about a few of these things. So what if the Bears keep Justin Fields and he has just another okay season? Then what do the Bears do? Well, TH, thank you for the question. It's actually a very good question. And by the way, for anybody, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button on the way in, and hit the bell to be notified of future content. I do this every day at 9:30. But the answer to that is very simple. Next year, you've got Dak Prescott, you've got Trevor Lawrence. It doesn't mean, by the way, that any of these guys are going to be available. You could be in a situation where you're looking for a quarterback. Also, we do have backup Tyson Bagent as a gap filler. But here's the thing. We had by the way, in this free agency market that we just had, we had Kirk Cousins out here. We had Russell Wilson. Are they viable options in the long term for the Chicago Bears? No. They're fixes for a situation. But here's the thing. If you take Caleb Williams, you don't know if he's that generational talent that you want him to be. What you do know is you do know what you've got with Justin Fields. So if you decide that you're going to keep Justin Fields and he just has that okay season, by the way, just for clarity here, that okay season includes a playoff run. So it should be noted that we could still say that maybe Justin is not the guy, but at the same time, we still make the playoffs and we still win a game or two and get to the NFC Championship. That is entirely possible the way we're set up right now, okay? Or the way we are continuing to improve to be set up. Now, with that being the case, in the event that we were to trade down and maybe stock up some draft picks for next year, Shedeur Sanders, Drew Aller, Connor Weigman, there are a lot of really good quarterbacks who are going to be available in next year's draft. And by the way, don't think for a second that it isn't possible for Ryan Poles to reach out there and grab Shedeur Sanders with that number 1 overall pick next year, even if we don't have it right now. Shedeur Sanders, another primetime. What if another primetime comes to Chicago? You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of options. So what I want to say is this: you're not out of options in the event that Justin Fields doesn't work out. Again, you got Dak Prescott becoming a free agent. You've got Trevor Lawrence becoming a free agent. You've got options. You can pass that bitch like Stockton, if you know what I mean. That comes from Jack Harlow, another Louisville boy like myself. So I'm going to share that. Anyway, so what else is there? We got Kareem saying, good morning. I can smell the Bears lakefront air now. Kevin Warren doing big things in polls, pitching tents, LFG. Not only that, but we're also going to have a new stadium by the time that we're done. Bear down. Lord Crimson, good morning. And what is going on? Vizzo Joe, why is there no market for Fields? There's no market for Fields because the media is creating a narrative that the Bears are looking to move on from Justin Fields, and that gives other teams leverage. And because, look, it should be fair for anybody, if you're a Justin Fields fan, it should be fair to note that Justin Fields so far has been a great talent in the first and second quarter of games, but he's been very marginal in the third quarter and catastrophic in the fourth quarter. Now, I can attribute some of that to coaching. Luke Getsy obviously didn't get the player, the type that Justin Fields was, and tried to make him into something that he's not, a pure drop back passer. And that is a problem. I'm not denying that problem doesn't exist. But everybody saw that, and everybody knows that they can't just do there would be some complications to bringing in Justin Fields. There is legitimately some complications for any team that wants to bring in Justin Fields. And it is, how many Luke Getzys are there out there? And again, nothing wrong with Luke Getsy, except that he didn't do a great job of changing up and coaching the end of games. And you got to put players in successful situations. If you don't put players in successful situations, and you've got people who are fans, and look, and even if you don't like Justin Fields, you are a fan. You watched the product on the field. You sat there. You saw what was going on, and you said to yourself, "What the fuck is he doing? Why are they calling 2 screens in a row on 3rd and 15? What is happening here? What is really going on? Who would call these kind of dumbass plays? What is wrong? Is there somebody broken here? Like who's doing the play calling? You were doing it. Everybody was doing it. We weren't blaming Justin Fields at that point. Now we can blame Justin Fields later on, but we weren't blaming him at that point. We were looking around going like, what is Luke Getsy doing? And we were collectively doing that. So if you have short-term memory loss, that's cool. That's cool. Call your attorney. You know what I mean? Call Lerner and Rowe, 222-2222, and figure that shit out for yourself and figure out why your brain doesn't work. But remember, we were calling this on Luke Getsy for a long period of time. Now, we recognize the errors of Justin Fields, and I'm not defending Justin Fields in this context. I'm saying you knew it, you saw it on the field, you knew what the problem was, and here we are. So the question to answer is, why is there no market for Fields? Well, there's no market for Fields because Justin Fields was in a situation in which this could have gone a lot better. This season could have gone a lot better. Justin balled out in the last 8 games of the season. Aside from that Detroit fiasco where the defense collapsed, and aside from only having 10 passes in 3 quarters against the Green Bay Packers in a game that we decided to go conservative and try to just run the ball against the Green Bay Packers. Jesus Christ. Luke Getsy. Hey, you know what? It's probably Justin Fields calling all the running plays, right? I mean, come on. And by the way, again, you can still have a problem with Justin Fields. I'm not telling you that Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the league. I'm not telling you. I'm telling you that I'm telling you that he is MVP potential physically, but he's got to pass the ball. He's got to do something. He has to figure it out, right? If he doesn't do it here, he'll figure it out somewhere else. So why is there no market for Fields? Because the Bears, or at least the media, tipped the Bears' hat. Kareem says because Fields ain't for sale. We don't know that for sure, but TH says, what happens with the Arlington property? It becomes a training facility. Most probably it becomes like a new Hallis Hall, if you will, something like that. Or they put it up for sale and they sell it for probably a marginal profit. I mean, there's a lot of people who support the team that would probably buy it for a profit. It could be because Field leaves in free agency. The Bears probably get a compensation in the third, which would be a better option. I don't think he's going to stay around, though. There's not going to be 2 quarterbacks, so there's not of that. And yes, there are a lot of fans in denial. There are a lot of people. Listen, and Visit Joe. Vizzo Joe it's very important to recognize what he's saying. There are a lot of fans in denial. There are a lot of people, almost 19% of the Chicago Bears fans, who see 33 fumbles in 31 games from a prospect like Caleb Williams and go, Dad, that's not a problem. Dad, that's not a problem. Dad, that's not a problem. And then they look at Justin Fields and like, why does he fumble the ball all the time? Yeah, there's a lot of fans in denial. 19% of them. We're not the Patriots or Niners settling for the playoffs. We want the whole thing. Well, you know what? That's a process. So we'll see how that process goes. That'll be the minimum price. No one knows if there is no market for Fields. Polls isn't leaking anything. All we have is a bunch of media guessing. Thank you, Jose. That's exactly what there is. However, all the other teams, they got to get a quarterback. Like, they can't just sit around for the Justin Fields. By the way, look, I'm going to say this, and we're going to move on because we got a big show today. But I'm going to say this, and I know you guys, I lived in Cleveland, Ohio a few years back. When I was in Cleveland, Ohio, LeBron James was there. I could see LeBron James quite a bit when he was a rookie, when he was a second, third year. Fantastic guy, right? But if you don't move on from a player and you don't sign people, then you get screwed. And I'm going to point out, LeBron James screwed the Cleveland Cavaliers when he left. Not because he agreed to sign, not for any other reason than he didn't give them clarity. And he basically told them the entire time, and even the president, vice president, everybody, the entire time, he was basically like, yeah, I'll be back. I'm just, I'm going to test the waters and stuff like that. But I mean, this is my home, coach, over and over and over again. And then when it came down to the free agency moment, he said, I'm taking my talents to Miami. Absolutely devastated a franchise that was relying on him because he said he was reliable. So same thing. No football team can miss out on potential quarterbacks and not have a quarterback going into it, or not try to get the best quarterback available. Best quarterback available might be Kirk Cousins, might be Russell Wilson. So what happened? Pittsburgh Steelers went out. They signed Russell Wilson. The Atlanta Falcons prefer Kirk Cousins at this point. Now, there was a note the other day that came out last night that says Arthur Blank prefers Justin Fields to Kirk Cousins. He's the owner. He's not general manager. Like, I don't know that he has any say in it. I don't know whether or not that's true or not. In fact, bringing a hometown boy home would be a kind of a cool deal for Justin Fields, but they don't know if he's available or not. So shout out. Louisville man and Muhammad Ali just announced to WWE Hall of Fame. Yes, he was. And as a matter of fact, funny story. Last night, I was flipping through YouTube trying to check out content and stuff like that. And I saw this thing. It says the Royal Rumble in WWE 2K24, I think it's called. And it was they were going to do the Royal Rumble, which is where they put like 30 people in the ring. And they don't come in at the same time. They all come in one after the other. And the first two people, the first person to come in was Ravishing Rick Rude. And he did his intro where he's like, and I'll take off my robe for all you chicks and blah, 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 or whatever it is that he does. And then the second entrant into the Royal Rumble was Muhammad Ali. It was hilarious. So shout out to Muhammad Ali. You're still the GOAT, my man. So, and then Baker Mayfield, by the way, is going to Tampa. So there's a whole lot that's just starting to happen here. All of the people that we thought, oh yeah, these are going to be the guys that Justin Fields is going to go to. No, but it's there's no. And listen, here's the thing. The people, the people, and I'm not making this up, guys, and you can't make this up because you can't make this up, right? The same people who are like, Dad, Justin hasn't ever won nothing. He didn't do anything for anybody. Blah, blah, blah. And you got that weird voice because I say that you got that weird voice, and it's going to be that way in my head the entire time just because that's the way that it is. However, here's the thing. They're looking at a guy who went 2-9 against ranked opponents, who had 3 interceptions against Notre Dame, who has 33 fumbles in 31 games, who turns the ball over a lot. Doesn't have a lot of interceptions, but nobody in the Lincoln Riley system does because that's the way it runs. But they have 33 fumbles, 3 interceptions against ranked opponents. He gets devastated by ranked opponents, and they're like, that's a better option, guys. That's a better option. We should be looking at this guy. So stop. I mean, you know what? For all that you don't like Justin Fields and you say, anybody who supports Justin Fields looks like a clown. Take the grease paint off of your face and the big red nose and stop talking through it, because we see the same thing. Same thing. And don't ever make excuses for 3 interceptions and say, well, only one of them counted. Because then you look like the clown that you think everybody else looks like. You look like the clown that you say everybody else looks like. Only one of them counted. So let's get into the news today. First up and foremost, and thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. And if you're an asshole and you don't like me, hit the dislike button, because it works the same and pushes me up in the algorithm. Thanks. Report: Bears are signing former All-Pro safety Kevin Byard. Now, Kevin Byard was an All-Pro in 2017 and 2022. So within the last few years. Now, he's 30 years old, so he's a little bit older. So it would look like that this is a really decent move. They're going to save quite a bit of money by putting Kevin Byard in this position. Now, is he going to be better than Eddie Jackson? I don't know. He's going to be a lot cheaper than Eddie Jackson, and he's a potential player. He's not going to be a long-term guy, so we might still be looking for a safety in the draft, but he is here for right now 2 years, $15 million, and that is potentially the deal. That's what's been leaked to ESPN so far. So $7.5 million per year. And he did post bear down on social media. So we do know that there is a deal in place. So we'll see what happens with this, but that does answer one of the big questions that we had, and that was the defense. And by the way, I do have some slides here. We're going to talk about the defense. So shout out to Kevin Byard, bear down. Thank you so much for being there. And now we're going to move on to the stadium plans, because the Bears have made a proposal to a publicly owned stadium. The Bears plan to invest $2 billion of private funding into the project, which would also increase open space in the area by 20%, said the sources. Now, if you see on the top right-hand side of the slide right there, then you can see at the very top over there, that lot, that seems to be where they're looking to do it. That open space would include plazas, paths, landscaped areas, lakefront access, and more. That effort, creating more public spaces for the redevelopment of the area, appears aimed at placating preservation groups, Friends of the Park, which successfully sued to prevent George Lucas from building a museum along the lakefront, and has previously voiced opposition to the team's construction of any new stadium project on museum campus. A source familiar with the Bears' plan cited a poll showing 66% of residents in support of a museum campus stadium over the team's move to the suburbs. Previously a suburban move was long the Bears' focus, as they purchased 326 acres in Arlington in February of 2023 with the intent to develop a stadium district on the site. Bears president and CEO Kevin Warren confirmed the team's intent to stay in Chicago in a statement, saying the team is committed to contribute over $2 billion to build a stadium and improve open spaces for all families, fans, and the general public to enjoy the city of Chicago. So just in case you weren't listening, White Sox, we're not making a deal with you. You're not getting a deal. We're not doing it. We're not making a deal with the Chicago White Sox to try to figure out for public funding and figure out how to finance 2 stadiums just to appease some people in Springfield. That's not what we're doing. So here we go. The idea here is the Bears are going to do it on their own. By the way, we have 420 watchers right now. So smoke them if you got them. It's Illinois. It's perfectly legal. The future stadium of the Chicago Bears will bring a transformative opportunity to the region, boosting the economy, creating jobs, facilitating mega events, and generating millions of tax revenue. We look forward to sharing more information when our plans are finalized. So, guys, I think you should be excited, by the way, for Kevin Warren. I mean, he seems to be really getting after it and really turning a lot of heads right now as he brings the Chicago Bears into the future. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Certainly helps me, pushes me up in the algorithm, and I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. And by the way, for all of you who supported me over the last couple days for my videos, I want to say thank you so much. We had over 20,000 views on one video. We've got about 16,000 on another video. So it does not fall on deaf ears that you guys have been incredibly supportive of me, and I want to thank each and every one of you. Every time you help me, it's not falling on deaf ears, guys. I appreciate everything that you've done in support of this channel. But let's move on. We've got 10 free agents who are coming up, And here you go. So Yada, if Justin Fields starts at 7-2, you're still going to say he sucks. That's exactly what I'm saying right here. Like, look, Justin Fields, you know what? Let's not get into Justin Fields. First of all, Justin Fields, I think, represents the best option for the Chicago Bears to win in the immediate future. I'm expecting the Bears to be a playoff contender. And I do think that there was a report, by the way, and I put a video out on this, and the report said that the Chicago Bears internally think that they are Caleb Williams away from winning a Super Bowl. That's garbage. That's stupid. There's absolutely nothing about that makes any sense and is logical at all, right? All right, so we're gonna do this. All right, Leonidas has got 5 minutes to think about what he said. So we'll see if he comes back and starts crying some more. But guys, he represents the best opportunity for the Bears to win immediately. And I think that represents this great opportunity. 81% of the fans support Justin Fields. 19% are wanting to see Caleb Williams. So those 19%, they cry a lot. That's why games get ruined, by the way. Did you know that? That tiny group of small weens, as they say, that like, I don't like that guy. This guy, this is the biggest problem. And then they screw up all these games and stuff like that online. It's always been, it's the nature of it. The minority that cries the most. You know what I mean? I don't get the debate. He is gone. You don't have to get the debate, but yeah, you don't have to get it. You don't have to like it. And as a matter of fact, we wanted to do it before free agency started. Well, here we are, and it's still not happened. So Rafa, figure it out. But yeah, I mean, here we go with the next part, and this is the next issue is what about the top 10 free agents the Chicago Bears will target in free agency. And there are a couple of people that we have on this list. And the question right now is, who is it that we're looking for? What are the people that the Chicago Bears need in order to really fit into their new scheme, right? First one up is going to be Curtis Samuels. Pro Football Focus has him projected to sign a 2-year, $17 million deal, which still fits into this paradigm right now. We only have a little bit of money available, and a whole lot of people who think that the Bears must be like rich and they're going to go like they're not going to spend more than they have. And when we start to go look at it, there's a whole bunch of donkeys out here that are going to be like, I didn't know that was the case, George. So, Curtis Samuel possibly coming aboard. He fits what the team needs. In losing Darnell Mooney, they lose the speed and slot performer, and Samuel does exactly that. So he's going to be one of the first guys that they are looking for. And he's got a history, by the way. He's got a history of partnering with DJ Moore. So, that'll be a good one. The next up, Chicago Bears are going to be looking into Aaron Brewer in free agency. They signed Ryan Bates, but that doesn't mean that they're going to stick with Ryan Bates. He's not a center. He's a backup, and he's a great guy. But, we'll see what happens with it. But since Lucas Patrick is gone, Aaron Brewer becomes the guy. Now, here's the other thing. There was one more free agent that was on the hook out here, and that was Andre James. Andre James for the center for the Las Vegas Raider. And guess what? He's gone. He re-signed with the Raiders. So that we got Aaron Brewer still out here, and that's going to be a potential big win. Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff is, by the way, one of the only edge rushers really left out here that's really, really good that could be available. Huff broke out last year, had 10.5 sacks. But if you've been following the Jets, you know that he's been playing well for a couple seasons. He just has not had the chance to break out with the team. When his playing time goes up, his pressure and sacks go up. He's not the best run defender and sways towards pass rush only. Still, we saw with Yannick Ngakoue that the Bears will sign that type of player. Huff is much better than Ngakoue last year, and he will only be 26 years old. So if you could pop in Bryce Huff into this position, that's a pretty good opportunity. But here's the thing. You still have DeMarcus Walker at $10 million on the roster, and he's a solid edge setter against the run, but he doesn't have enough pass rush use. So, on obvious run plays, you're going to go with DeMarcus Walker. On obvious pass plays, you're going to go with Bryce Huff. I mean, that's perfect. That's the substitution scheme that you want anyway. You're always going to guess right? No, but you're going to do a pretty decent job on obvious plays. The team can rotate Huff and Walker on the edge across from Montez Sweat and even have Walker slide inside to create speed rush looks with Gervon Dexter, Sweat, and Huff as the foursome. So a crazy opportunity right there. We'll see whether or not that happens. Quandre Diggs, free safety. Now, of course, we've already gotten Kevin Byard, so I think Quandre Diggs is probably not going to be on the menu, but he is out here, so we need to at least consider it. He made Pro Bowls between 20 and 22. He's the same age as Eddie Jackson, but he's not missed a game in the past 4 seasons, so his health has not been in question. So we'll see what happens with Quandre Diggs. Also out here, we've got Colby Parkinson, and Colby Parkinson is that he's that we were talking about this. We had a tight end, and I think that what we need to do, of course, obviously Robert Tonyan is gone, but Colby Parkinson is going to be a cheap deal. As a player, which over 600 yards in 4 seasons. He's a secondary tight end to Noah Fant and Waldron, but he also developed into a reliable blocker and trusted number 2 with Waldron. Now, in the event that we go after this guy, that's the end of that's going to be the end of Mercedes Lewis. Just so you guys know, that's going to be the team. And Patriots Watch says the Falcons owner wants him. Falcons owner allegedly wants him. He hasn't publicly stated that. That's just another media thing. And you know, it's weird. It's how weird is it, by the way, guys, that you see somebody who says something like Patriot Watch USA. I don't believe the media because the media is lying because they don't like my president and shit like that, right? And then when somebody says, "Oh yeah, Arthur Blank likes Justin Fields," they're like, "Obviously he likes Justin Fields. I told you guys." Now the media can be trusted. It's weird. It's weird. It's an odd thing that happens over here. You believe the media when it says what you want it to say. Next up, Mike Donna could reunite with Ryan Poles on the Chicago Bears. Same could happen with Mike Donna. He was a 5th round pick when Ryan Poles was director of player personnel. He's a late round pick. He earned the deal. He went from 5.5 sacks in the first 2 years with the team to 11.5 sacks the last 2. Dana also stepped up in the playoffs for the Super Bowl champions last season. About $8 million for a rotational rusher is not awful, and the Bears need bodies to rush the passer, which is exactly what we need. And by the way, when you look at my draft today, you will see that I went deep into just grabbing a lot of players to fill up bodies. The defensive tackle, Daquan Jones, could be available to replace Justin Jones. I think they're going to go with Gervon Dexter. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but Chris Jones, no longer available. Looks like Christian Wilkins probably not going to be available too. Daquan Jones may be the best option available. Then we have Noah Brown. The Chicago Bears are going to lose Equinemius St. Brown, but he was a valued piece of the offense. He did not overly produce, but he was a blocker. And here's the thing. I think he's going to actually re-sign. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the case. And Leonidas is back. Fields represents the best option to keep the Bears in mediocrity. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you think, that's okay. You're allowed to have your opinion. Just chill the fuck out. The team needs to replace that gritty wide receiver who will do the dirty work. And the best option could be Noah Brown. Does not mean that Equinemius is not coming back. So, but we'll have some clarity on that pretty soon. Then you have Coleman Shelton, who was an undrafted free agent in 2018. He's a backup for most of the time, but he was the most trusted starter in the past 2 years. He got a chance when Brian Allen went down due to an injury, and he did not give the job back. The Rams are letting him test the market. If any team has a shot to make them regret it, that will be Chicago. And then finally, Danico Autry fits the Chicago Bears, averaging 9.5 sacks per year over the last 3 seasons. So what we're looking at is a lot of pass rushing, a lot of pass rushers to make something happen. So those are the 10 guys that we're looking for as potential free agents that the Bears are going to be or should be targeting. Again, I think it's going to be less the safety position. I think the safety position has already been handled. But let's move on. So here is what the offensive roster looks like right now. And look, I put this together the other day because I thought, let's have a good look at it. Here's what we need. We need a center. We need a slot receiver. And then we need a Z receiver. So if you grant that Braxton Jones for the moment is the offensive tackle. Now we could use an improvement at Braxton Jones. But it should be noted that, if we swapped, by the way, Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis, by the way, Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright, both on the right side, would turn that into the best rushing lane in the history of football, in my opinion. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. So anyway, Braxton Jones, potentially a problem here, but we have center. So, we're looking to get a center into this mix here, a slot receiver and a wide receiver too. Now, I have a question mark next to Justin Fields because there is no clarity in what's going on with Justin Fields. Cole Kmet at tight end. And we're in a one tight end set with three receivers. And then we have running back Khalil Herbert. Now, until Saquon Barkley or somebody comes along and the Bears just go, I'm going to sign with this guy, I'm going to sign this guy, then Khalil Herbert is our guy. And I don't think there's a question at that point. I think the media is kind of driving that question, if you will. I don't think that there's really a big time question about running back, but it's a potential upgrade. I don't consider Saquon Barkley to be a tremendous upgrade to Khalil Herbert. But I mean, he could be. He could be. I could be completely wrong about that. I like Justin Fields, so you know what I mean. So anyway, that's what the roster looks like. So we need a center. We're gonna need two receivers, and potentially we got the quarterback. Now on the defense, here we are. This is what the defense looked like, and I've updated the defense to include Kevin Byard at the free safety position. So in keeping with this, what we have in the breakdown here is we have Montez Sweat. And then we have Andrew Billings. Those are the two guys. Now, I don't know that there's. I think that the defensive tackle position is Gervon Dexter. I saw the Chris Jones signings when I made this, and I thought, let's just keep this open for right now. Gervon Dexter, I think, is my guy, but I'm not sure, and I know that the market still is flush with defensive tackles, so it could be that we're looking for a defensive tackle. But look, the defensive roster seems to be really filling out. So you still need that edge rusher, and you still need more bodies at defensive tackle. Right now, the defensive tackle room, by the way, Justin Jones is a free agent. So the defensive tackle room right now is Andrew Billings, Gervon Dexter, and Zach Pickens, and that's it. So there are a lot of needs at defensive tackle, and you'll see that in my draft that I did today because it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But then you have that edge rusher. Like, we're not that far away from that free safety Kevin Byard move right there, not going through the draft, but going through free agency. That move actually, that's a pretty good move. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that cornerbacks now are Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson. Your Sam is Jack Sanborn. The Mike is Tremaine Edmonds, and the Will is TJ Edwards. So, and I like those guys. I think Tremaine Edmonds didn't have the greatest of seasons last year, but I think he's going to get better. I think he's, this guy is a star. And I think that, I think he missed a few tackles. I think TJ missed a few tackles. I even think Jack Sanborn actually had a really good season, but he missed a few tackles early on. So hopefully they're going to be ready for the season on this next ride. But at free safety and strong safety, you have Kevin Byard now, and you have Jaquan Brisker. So now you have your lineup not complete, but you're getting a lot closer. You're getting a lot closer to having some clarity in your roster here. And now some of the players and some of the positions. Now, here's the next question. The next question is going to be one of salary cap. And then that comes into this right here. So you know what your salary cap is right now. You got $63.8 million left. Now, you're about to take $7 million off because you just signed, let's go back up here. You just signed Kevin Byard, Colin Johnson, and Tarvarius Moore. Now, Tarvarius Moore, probably $1 million, $2 million. I don't think that's I don't think that's the case. But 1 million, 2 million. So I don't think he's going to be too much, right? But Kevin Byard, $7.5 million. So now you got to take $8 million off of this 63, right? So now you're at 55 million. And you got to keep well, let's see. Now you're at 55. I'm going to draw like shit because I'm left-handed, but I'm using a right mouse. So you got 55 million after you sign those two guys. You need 10 million to take into the season. So you got 45, right? Then you're going to need 15 to 20. We're going to call it 15 for the draft. So you got 30 million left to spend in this draft. And look, if you make fun of me writing 30 like that, the joke's on you, because I meant to do that. But anyway, 30 million looks to be the number that we could do some signings with. Now, if you're looking for somebody who's more expensive than 30 million, then you're out of your tree, because that's not going to happen. So now you have to look at, like, how do we make this happen? How do we use 30 million and still get what we need? And look, I'm still gonna say this. I'm gonna say this to you every time. I'm gonna say there's no reason. I'm gonna say there's just no reason to think that drafting Caleb Williams fixes this team. Look, I mean, and by the way, that doesn't mean that you can't go for another quarterback. I mean, I don't care. Look, here's my thing with Caleb Williams. All right, first draft pick is stupid to take Caleb Williams. Okay, that's it. After that, I don't care. We've done drafts here where I've taken JJ McCarthy. We've done drafts here where I've taken Drake May. I like Justin Fields. I think he gives us the best. I think he gives us the best opportunity to win now. Simple. Any college quarterback, especially one with 33 fumbles, is probably not going to grasp the NFL offense as quickly as you want, in my opinion. Anybody that Merrill Hodge says is a joke and can't do it, I got to believe him. You know what I mean? Anybody who has 3 interceptions against ranked opponents, anybody who can't beat ranked opponents, I don't think he gives you the better option. And you can think that he does. You could be wrong about that. It's no problem. You can be wrong about that. But Justin Fields is familiar, at least with the system, with the team. And by the way, it's going to be a new offensive system. So I'm not saying that he's going to be familiar with the entirety of the scheme or anything like that, but he's going to be familiar, or at least reasonably familiar, with what they're trying to do, or at least with Matt Eberflus. So I think that he represents the best option. So you can disagree with me because you've been wrong a lot, but that's okay. It's okay for you to not like me and to think that I'm wrong. And yeah, I mean, that's and see, these are the dumb takes, guys. You're seeing this on a screen. You see this on a screen. Somebody saying that Justin Fields can't throw. That's wild, right? And the percentage rate, by the way, 62% completion for the season means that he can throw. It means that Leonidas is just pretend. I liked him better when he was Judah, by the way. But anyway, so you got $30 million left, right? You got $30 million left, and we got to do something with it. So the roster pretty much filled out. Now, the question at that point becomes, what do we do? Well, here's the first mock draft that came out after the Byard deal from NBC Sports Chicago. I'm assuming they're probably, and I haven't looked at this one yet, I'm assuming they're probably still leaning into Caleb Williams, but actually this makes it this makes it a little different right now. Okay. So now you've got number 1, Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. And then trade, they send the number 9 pick, the number 20, the 25 6th-round pick to the Broncos in exchange for numbers 12, 76, and a 2025 third rounder. By the time the Bears are back to the clock, Marvin Harrison, Malik, and Roman Brock are all off the board. So what they do is they go down to number 12 and they take Jared Verse. Actually makes sense because I did the same thing once or twice, or, and then trade. The Bears send Justin Fields to the Patriots in exchange for number 68 and 192. Okay, so the Patriots opted to draft Harrison Jr. with the number 3 overall pick instead of a quarterback, and send a 3rd rounder and 6th rounder to the Bears for Fields instead. For all the talk of the Bears recouping a 2nd round pick for Fields early in the year, recent reports suggest the market is not as robust as many assumed. So there you have it. Their idea of we're making the team better is going to be Caleb Williams, with few people to throw to, but Caleb Williams, Jared Verse, and then a trade here, and then we pick up Brendan Rice, wide receiver out of USC, so that Caleb Williams has a familiar person to pass the ball to. And then you have Austin Booker at defensive end for Kansas. Even with Verse in tow, the Bears could stand to add more rotational pass rushers, which they do need. And then you go get number 76, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy, by the way, he is that guy. He is that guy that ran the 4.21 40, which makes him the fastest guy to ever get clocked in at the combine. However, here's the thing. He is actually somebody who goes up and catches contested passes. He's not just a burner. He does it on the field with his gear on. Like he's a really good receiver. Is he the guy? Is he the guy? No, because he's 160 pounds. Like, he's going to get beat up in the NFL. The question would be, is he going to get better? So he's not going to be your starter, by the way. This is not a starter guy. This is a backup. This is maybe somebody who would be a what do you call it? A change of pace, slot receiver to start off with. He also drops the ball quite a bit. Then you have Cade Stover, 2 tight end sets, and Stover is a relatively high athletic player. He has great athletic ability. They use Stover in the slot 40% of the time. And over that time, he caught 77 passes for 980 yards and 10 touchdowns. If the team lets him focus on pass catching rather than the intricacies of the position, some of the production could translate to a pro game more quickly than other young tight ends enjoy. And then you have Cooper Beebe, guard out of Kansas State, which I think, by the way, we drafted in my draft today as a guard for Kansas State. Maybe I stepped away from that one. Actually, maybe I stepped away. But anyway, so let's move on and let's get into the final stages of the draft. And this was my draft for the day. And guys, I went absolutely bonkers on this draft, trading as much as I possibly could to get. Did I get that guy? No, I didn't get Cooper Beebe. I saw him and I passed on him, is I guess what happened. But anyway, so at number 1, I traded the number 1 overall pick. And then I moved all the way down and I traded it twice. I traded the number 1 for the number 2 for the Washington Commanders. And then when I got the number 2 for the Washington Commanders, I took a trade down to number 20 in a shot. And I just kind of crossed my fingers that it would be the right position. So what I did at number 9 is I took Dallas Turner. So I've solved at least part of that edge rusher conundrum, if you will. And you're going to see this is a heavy draft. And then at number 20, I was able to get Jackson Powers Johnson. So I feel like in these 2 moments, I was able to fix the edge rusher position right here. And I was able to fix the center position right here. Now, I haven't fixed anything else yet, but that was the move. And then I took Johnny Newton, which is the best defensive tackle currently in football. And I took him at the number 27 pick. Which now means that I've solved the defense right there. So now, then I moved on to Ladd McConkey, a wide receiver out of Georgia, and Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Georgia, and then Trey Benson. So I was able to fix quite a bit in very quick succession here. Ladd McConkey and Troy Franklin, are they crazy good wide receivers? No, we'll probably get somebody through free agency, but these are some developmental talents. Ladd McConkey is a starter, by the way. He's a starter. Troy Franklin might be a starter as well, but we'll see how the offense develops. You need some veteran presence there first. You can't just put DJ Moore on the field with Ladd McConkey and Troy Franklin. You could do that with Marvin Harrison, I do think, but you can't do that with as you move down. Like, this is the one generational talent in this draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. We didn't get him in this draft. I purposely didn't pick him, by the way, because he's my guy, and I've done that over and over again. So, but then I took Trey Benson, and then I took Troy Franklin, and then Adisa Isaac with the number 51. So I now have 2 edge rushers, and then that gives me some freedom to get rid of Dominique Robinson, obviously. That gives me some opportunity to maybe get rid of DeMarcus Walker. He's a good run protector, but we need some edge rushers. So we've got a couple of edge rushers. Then I went into Rukaroro, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Then I went right back into it with Braden Fisk, defensive tackle. Then I went right back into it with Michael Hall, defensive tackle. And what I'm doing is I'm throwing a whole bunch of defensive tackles at this team to try to improve that room right now. Johnny Newton, Rukaroro, Braden Fisk, and Michael Hall. These are 4 very talented defensive tackles that we're only fighting for one position, if you will. But there's some backup positions, and we need a nice rotation of people coming in. And I don't know that these guys even, I don't know that all of them even make the team, or maybe that turns somebody else into being an expense or a cap casualty or something like that. Depends on the talent. But I took a deep defensive tackle draft. Then I took Javon Bullard, safety out of Georgia. I know I don't need one, but I should have a backup on hand just in case it does not work out, which is possible, by the way, but just in case it does not work out with Kevin Byard, Tarvarius Moore, maybe not. Then I got Kieran Amagaji, offensive tackle out of Yale, because I do want to challenge Braxton Jones at that position. Then I got Brandon Coleman, a guard out of TCU, because I still need depth in the inside, in the interior. And then I got Javon Foster, an offensive tackle out of Missouri. Again, most of mine are pretty good picks early on in the draft. So I got 2 offensive tackles. I got 4 defensive tackles. I got 1 guard. I got a safety, 2 edge rushers, and 2 wide receivers and a running back. So I think it's pretty good. I think it pretty much played out well. Dallas Turner, obviously a starter. Jackson Powers Johnson, obviously a starter. Johnny Newton, obviously a starter. Lad McConkey probably ends up being a starter by default. Probably by default. But then, Trey Benson going to be a backup. I don't know. I think Trey Benson actually has an opportunity to be a starter in the league, but for the moment, no. And then 2025, I got the Washington first round pick, and then I got the 2025 Pittsburgh second round, and then 2025. So I got 14 players in total. And then here's the good part. I didn't take the number 1 pick. I didn't take the number 2 pick. I saved, quote unquote, the payroll, if you will. So I got Dallas Turner at a reasonable $5 million or so. Then I got Jackson Powers Johnson around $2 million. I got these guys at a pretty inexpensive price. So now, by the time I'm done, $15 million. I've got 14 capable potential bodies to add to this team. 14 young, hungry players that are potential or have potential in this league. And the Bears positions have been filled. Now, to go back over it, what was I looking to fill over here? I was looking to fill the center position, which I got with Jackson Powers Johnson. I was looking to fill the slot wide receiver and the Z receiver, which is Lad McConkey and Troy Franklin, but they're not the starters. You're still going to be reaching out. You're going to be looking to get somebody out of free agency in order to fill at least one of those positions. And then the slot receiver most probably starts the season as Tyler Scott. I don't know that you bring Lad McConkey or Troy Franklin in, but if there are, both of those guys are on BCS teams. I mean, you got Georgia and then Oregon, so they're used to playing elite competition, and they held up very well. So the possibility certainly exists that we've solved most of the problem on the offense, in so much as we recognize that the quarterback still is an issue, but I think that the issue can be fixed with Justin Fields, or if we move on, we move on. And then defensive tackle, I added 4 defensive tackles into the mix here. I don't know that Andrew Billings is going to be moved because he's the number 1 run blocker. But for defensive tackle, Johnny Newton gets to fill in there, or Gervon Dexter gets to fill in there. And then Johnny Newton, Michael Hall, Braden Fisk, and Ruka Roro are all going to be rotating in and out, trying to push this team. And then on the edge rushing side, I got Dallas Turner, which is the best edge rusher in the draft. Doesn't make him the best edge rusher, but he is the best one in the draft. And then you have Adisa Isaac as a serviceable backup. And again, that gives you some flexibility to try to remove some of these people. Now, let's get into chat, because I know you guys have been waiting. It's absolutely waiting. Oh man, you guys are going crazy today in chat. So listen, let's address the rumors regarding Justin Fields. The only rumor regarding Justin Fields is that the Bears want to trade Justin Fields. Do we know that for sure? No. What we know is that we know that Ryan Poles said that he wants to do right by Justin in the event they were to move on. That's it. That's the only thing that we have. Everything that we guess about comes from there. And then we also have one team that reached out to the Bears, which is the Atlanta Falcons, to look to see if he was available. And we don't have an answer for that. What we had off of that answer, by the way, after Atlanta is interested, is that they would prefer Kirk Cousins. Now, what is that? That's a face-saving maneuver for those of you who are too dumb to realize it. It doesn't mean, by the way, that Justin Fields is or is not on the table, by the way. But if you get it leaked first that you prefer, like let's say for example, you went out there and you talked about Justin Fields and you were like, you know what, we'd be interested in Justin Fields. So the question then becomes after Justin Fields, like like um, um, what would it take to get him, to make this trade happen or something like that? Well, then the next thing you know, somebody hears about it online. They're like, oh, they're making a trade for Justin Fields. Well, that changes the value of the Justin Fields trade. So now the Atlanta Falcons are like, you know what? We actually prefer Kirk Cousins. Do they really prefer Kirk Cousins? Probably not. Probably would prefer Justin Fields. However, it does have to be mentioned that, I mean, if they go with Kirk Cousins, where does that leave Justin Fields? Where does that leave? I don't know what is going to happen. Here's the thing. In the end, if they decide to run it back with Justin Fields, I have every confidence that Justin Fields will get better. I have every confidence that he will get better because we've already seen progress from him. And look, it's never going to be the progress that you want. What you guys wanted, those of you that are Caleb Maxies, and not Caleb Maxies necessarily, but Justin haters, those of you that Justin haters, I see the same product on the field. I see it. I understand 2,562 yards. I want to say 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I want to say there were 11 fumbles. I see. And I think we all see it. The difference is that I think that it gets better. And I think that it gets better because, the Bears were the worst team in the league. They had the worst defense in the league. They had the worst everything in the league for a period of time. And they've turned it around. Now, for me, part of this is that I feel like it would be it would be horrible. It would be horrible to see Justin Fields move on right before, quote unquote, his team finally gets it together. And I think the team's got it together, which is why they were 5-3 at the end of the year. Now, does it make them great? It makes them good. And if he just gets a little bit better, and Rafa with the hot take here, it says, not a hater. He is just not a starter in the league right now. If he improves, good, but I don't want to develop that. And that's not exactly right, but I get what he's saying. Like, Justin Fields takes 3.04 seconds to launch a pass on average. Guys, in his first season, it was 2.79. Now it's 3.04. He's taking like a quarter second longer to start passing the ball. So that's a problem. Like, we should recognize that that's a problem. Now, the other thing is, the reason that we see it so much more dramatically is because we saw Tyson Bagent come out, and Tyson Bagent was throwing the ball around the field. Like, everybody else is kind of throwing it around the field. So I think that's probably one of the pieces that people don't like, that people are that have a problem with. They saw what Tyson Bagent could do. And by the way, I don't think that Tyson Bagent is an NFL level quarterback. I don't think that he is the answer for sure. But Tyson Bagent was getting the ball out quickly. And, like Lord Crimson says, Bagent was throwing the ball 5 yards. Well, he was throwing the 5 yard, he was throwing 5 yard bombs because he doesn't have an arm. And we saw that, but we also saw that he was making quick decisions and getting the ball out. Now, the problem with that was that, the Bears receivers are still the Bears receivers, and they didn't do a great job. And Luke Getsy did not coach the way that you would want him to get the best out of these. He got the best out of DJ Moore. But Darnell Mooney fell off like a stone. There's a lot that you have to, there's a lot that has to happen. Okay. So in the event that we're going to run it back with Justin Fields, if we're running it back with Justin Fields, I'm all in. By the way, make sure you hit the like button on here. But if you think that, look, Justin Fields is a problem, we should be honest to say that Justin Fields has a little bit of issues with releasing the ball quickly, that can be coached and improved. By the way, I do want to stress that there are situations that, when you look at it, you know, because um, what you're doing when you're doing a lot of this is you're looking at um, uh, statistics for a kid in college, right? And you're saying, well, he could be a great NFL player if he just did, if he just played like in an insert whatever, right? Well, I mean, here you go. Like, I'm not making this shit up. Um, these are the stats for Justin Fields in college. Justin Fields was clearly a superior quarterback to um, Caleb Williams. Justin Fields had a 70% completion ratio, um, 41 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions for an entire season. So, I mean, quarterback rating of 181.4. So, when you look at generational talent and when you say stuff like that, like, I agree. Like, I want a generational talent. We all want a generational talent to be our quarterback. But there's the stats. They don't lie. When you're comparing a guy to another guy, when you're looking at, say, Justin Fields and you're looking at Caleb Williams, here's their quarterback statistics in college. And this is what it looks like to be on Justin Fields' team. 3,200 yards passing, 67% completion ratio, 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So you're saying that Caleb Williams is somehow going to be better than this. That's what you're saying. That you're saying Caleb Williams is going to be better than this with inferior stats. Now, what was Justin Fields' record against winning opponents or ranked opponents? And guess what? Way fucking better. Way better. So when you're looking at this, I don't think some of you are thinking clearly. And you can make all the excuses that you want. You can, make all the claims that you want. But when you start saying, yeah, well, this one had a better receiver, this one had a better offensive line, blah, 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 you're just making excuses. And that's exactly what you accuse every one of us doing for supporting Justin Fields. So take the big red nose off because it makes you look like a clown. Put the size 400 shoes up and walk around like a big boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, and by the way, you never really know, right? You never really know. So I want to close this out with this. Guys, we're going to know a lot more in the next couple of days. I'm not saying that Justin Fields is going to be here. I'm not saying that he's not going to be here. I'm saying that I think Justin Fields is the best option for the Bears to win right now. Part of me also says that because, look, at the end of this, character matters. Who you are as a person matters. And I like those parts of Justin Fields. He's a man of the community. He's done a lot for the city of Chicago. He's got the thick type of skin that he's not going to cry. He's not, and by the way, I don't mean that as in, like, I diss people when they talk about Caleb Williams because he cried. Like, look, dude, I would probably, like, if I were in his situation, I probably would have done that too. Okay. He thought he was coming back. He thought he was going to run the game, and he got clowned, by not by, not because of crying, but because, he thought his team was better than it was the year before. It was not, he just did. Look, he had a bad moment. I don't fault him for that. But Justin Fields goes out there every single game. He gives his best performance. Is it good enough for some people? It'll never be good enough for some people. Even if he does a fantastic job, it'll never be good enough for some people. So it doesn't matter. But what does matter? What does matter is that I think he represents the best opportunity to win now. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think that, I think there's a lot of people who are going to say things like, we got to move on, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? We can still move on. We don't have to be stuck. We're not married to Justin Fields. We're not stuck with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is in the final year of his rookie contract. If he's gone after this season, or if he doesn't make it to this season, if he's gone, he's gone. Then we have to come up with the best, with the best result going forward. But it is my belief that we are better with Justin Fields. and trading down the draft pick. I don't want to say that, like, I'm not saying that we're better with Justin Fields the end. I'm saying we're better with Justin Fields and then trading down the draft pick to get more draft capital to put ourselves in a better position. Just an example, if we could trade with New England, we pick up 3 or 4 draft picks, 3 this year, and then first round next year, something like that. Then at the number 3, maybe we get Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe. Or if we don't, then we get Malik Neighbors, right? Or we get, Joe Alt. We fix the line forever, right? And then we get to that 9 pick. And then we have to take a receiver. We have to take Roma Dunze or somebody like that at that point, because we still need the game-changing receiver, because otherwise it's all for naught. However, that gives us more draft picks and a better team. I just want to say that. I think it's a better team if we have more draft picks, and I don't think that we are a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. I think that we are a bunch of players away from a Super Bowl, and that Justin Fields can do that job. That's what I'm saying. But if he doesn't work out, I'm prepared to move on from him, because, you guys have already said, I'm done with his excuses. I'm done with the excuses for the team. He didn't do it. Well, guess what? I'm going to go with 4 years, because I think 4 years is the right time. And if he doesn't do it in the 4th year, then yeah, he's got to go. And are we stuck for a quarterback? Not necessarily. Again, you got Dak Prescott out there. You've got Trevor Lawrence out there. And by the way, I'm not saying that either one of those guys are ever going to be touching a Chicago jersey, but then you also have Shedeur Sanders, you have Drew Aller, you have Connor Wigman, you have some really good players that are going to be coming in the draft again. We're going to have another quarterback-heavy draft, because that's just the way that it works. And by the way, every quarterback that's going to be drafted number 1 is a generational quarterback. And I might add, Donovan McNabb came out in support of Justin Fields, saying that Justin Fields is a better option than Caleb Williams for this team right now. And look, his opinion should have some merit. It should be important. Guys, that guy he went through a lot. So, you know what I mean? So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Would hit the like button if you haven't already. It doesn't cost you anything, doesn't hurt your finger to do that, and it helps me out tremendously. And with that, we're going to end the show. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in. I'm here every day at 9:30 if you want to come check me out. We're going to rail on everything Bears, and we're going to figure it out. And if you're into crypto, I also have a cryptocurrency channel. I talk about Bitcoin all the time, stuff like that. So if you guys are interested, you can check me out there too as well. And we will talk to you again very, very soon. And if you know anybody who's looking for sponsors, I could sure use a sponsor.